On this week's episode, could Anthem be the key to BioWare's future? Our update on antiheroes, and we conclude our thoughts on CES. All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great programs as we cover the world of pop culture twice each week on our on all of our awesome podcast networks and also our incredible distribution of radio stations. But it wouldn't be a pop culture cosmos without my good friend. He is the lead javelin of Humanica Media. You got to check out everything that's going on today at humanicamedia.com, Humanica Media on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and so much more. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. Are you all amped up? Because Anthem is coming out this Tuesday.
I was gonna make a story of the year joke because I have that song called "Anthem of Our Dying Day," but I don't think anyone would understand it. So, yes, man, I'm good. I'm amped. I am not sure when I'm going to play Anthem, but I'm interested. It looks pretty good.
Well, we'll talk about that in just a second here, but I just wanted to mention to everyone out there that coming up on today's program, Ron McCallum is stopping by to step into the middle of the cosmic crossfire as he and I weigh in on the potential real ramifications of the upcoming Disney Fox merger. We also want to close out our look at CES this year with interviews with the great folks at Cavalier Audio, Blue Microphones, Snackboat, Snackboat, Phone Soap, and THX. Cannot thank enough those individuals that took time to speak to me, and we're going to speak to them, and we're going to play all those interviews coming up in the back half of the episode. Plus, also as well, Josh and I are going to give you an update on what's going on with the anti-heroes. I know we discussed it a little bit in detail on the PCZ multiverse. I was worried about the direction of where these anti-hero shows were going and the fact that they were all coming out around the same time and all being developed, and I thought they would lose their luster. But as Josh and I will explain later in the episode, that may not be the case just yet. But first, we want to talk about what's coming out this week as far as video games are concerned, and that starts with none other than Anthem, that's coming out on Tuesday. A lot of big hype for this game. In fact, there was actually a hype live action video directed by Neil Blomkamp, who is best known for District 9. He actually made a almost like what you could say is a short film promoting some of the backstory behind Anthem. Anthem is coming out as basically a cooperational game type game in the vein of Destiny and Destiny 2. Four heroes go ahead and battle. Four heroes set out to go ahead mission after mission to try and do what they can to save their community and save their planet from all the evil monsters and just terrible things that lurk out there on the planet that they're on. Your thoughts on Anthem first off? What have you seen of it so far that you liked, and what are some of the things that you're kind of maybe apprehensive about or even curious about as it leads into the release this Tuesday?
So uh, I think it looks like a beautiful game. Like it looks like something that only BioWare could deliver. Like the way the world is built, the way that you interact with the environment, the way that even watching the videos of like how the javelin splashes into the water, and so you're in a completely different world down there. And then the way it looks inside the city, and you can talk to people. That's all really cool. Game looks very beautiful. My I guess my reservations about it is that it looks like it's trying too hard to be Destiny meets Monster Hunter, and it's not. That's not something BioWare is good at coming up with original content. It's not They're not good at knocking off other games, but it seems like this is something that EA decided that would be a good concept, and they put BioWare on it. So I don't, from what I understand, that when you interact with people, it doesn't shape your story at all. Like there's not really much of a story besides the story of the game. Like you're fighting for survival. You're an old they tell legends of you, of your whatever you are, and how you saved the world once, and now you have to bring those people's reputation back up as you try to save the world again. But it doesn't sound like there's much of a interactive story from that point. You're just going out and doing missions, and yeah, you talk to people in the city, but that's really it. So it's a Bioware game, but it's not really a Bioware game. And I do want to play it. I want to try it with I was gonna try playing with Big Dog and Brian Kane and see what's what. But it's not something I'm in a rush to play because it's still, I don't know, it's just not something that I am excited about. I love BioWare, but I don't really love this concept that much.
I agree with you on that. And let's get everybody up to speed. The javelins that I actually quoted you as earlier in the episode, that's the basis for the type of suit and armor that you take out when you go ahead and venture out into the planet and face off against the monsters at. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the javelins are like your Iron Man suits, and you get to cut. From what I understand, there's like an infinitely uh wait, what is the word I'm looking for? There's an infinite amount of ways that you can customize your javelin. So you can, if there's certain colors, certain schemes, certain weapons, like you can customize anything on this javelin. It's like an Iron Man suit crossed over with a Gundam, and that's cool. Like I love that concept, but it really, once you have the javelins on, it seems like your character is just a multiplayer character after that.
And the game is, like you said, very multiplayer centric, multiplayer focused. As far as you and three other individuals, if you try to play it solo, I think it just tries to lean you and force you into going ahead and playing with others to make it more of an enjoyable experience because it wants to promote that teamwork concept type deal. And I just think at this point in time, it's looking very much like Destiny. And we've seen what happens with Destiny, where it came out to mediocre to pretty okay reviews, to okay reviews, and it actually generated a lot of enthusiasm at the time, and Destiny 2 obviously was created from that initial enthusiasm, but it never really garnered and sold to the point where I think where Activision and Bungie were happy with. So obviously we've seen in the past couple months where Bungie has now separated from Activision because of the declining returns that they got from Destiny 2, where the reviews still remained that okay, pretty good type deal, but never really landed them that acclaim, both from a consumer and also from a critical standpoint, that I think they were really garnering and trying to level up against their past when it comes to the Halo, the Halo trilogy, that they're also known for, that they worked on, obviously for quite some time before they handed it over to 343. It just seems like at this point in time that maybe BioWare is coming up with a concept here in Anthem that may be a little bit outdated, that wasn't entirely successful, depending on how much it emulates the type of concept that Destiny had to offer. And is it similar in that vein? Yes, it is very similar to it. The difference as far as a third person to first person shooting experience, Destiny is primarily a first person shooting experience, whereas third Anthem is mostly from the perspective of over the shoulder type deal. So be that as it may, it still looks like something that I think a lot of people are going to emulate. Like you said, with a dash of Monster Hunter and the success of that game from last year, it looks like it's trying to emulate some of that success as well. It's not exactly original. You do have to go and get your storylines and your mission concepts from a central hub location that you're trying to protect. In essence, I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy playing Anthem as well as I would many other BioWare games, and obviously, this comes off the fact that EA doesn't really have a full 100% focus on Anthem, even though it's provided obviously a much larger commercial and marketing budget than they did Apex Legends, because right now the success is all in Apex Legends lap. And could that step in the way of what potential success could be down the road for Anthem?
Yes, for sure, because it's a free to play game, and look how many players it's already scooped up. People are excited about Anthem. The guys at Kind of Funny and Giant Bomb have been talking about it nonstop, so I think that they're excited about it. But I don't know what's interesting about it is that it it feels like it was kind of an afterthought to a changing market, if that makes sense. Everything online all the time, that kind of connectivity where you play with your friends, like you're there's no it was made during that debate about single player games fading out. And BioWare has now announced a new Dragon Age. They've been talking about Mass Effect. So what kind of I'm curious what kind of manpower was invested into this game? Because
Well,
BioWare.
actually, I can tell you it was obviously a lot more than what was devoted to in Mass Effect Andromeda, because we've heard and read stories about the failure of Mass Effect Andromeda and the fact that so much attention and manpower was diverted to Anthem specifically.
Right, but BioWare is a small studio, so think about if they took the entire, veteran staff of BioWare and put them on Star Wars, but Anthem is also a BioWare game, but it's a game that would require a full studio to keep running, much like Bungie has with Destiny, and then they're also working on a new Dragon Age and a new Mass Effect. So I'm curious exactly how much manpower this game had, and how much support it's going to have moving forward, especially with them working on so many other projects. Or is it possible that EA has some kind of backup staff working on this game, and they're just using BioWare's reputation to put the game out?
Who knows? Who knows? But it is it is kind of perplexing that they would target having Apex Legends come out within the same month, same period of time as Anthem, which is obviously costing EA a ton of money to go ahead and produce, which is obviously which is also going to put as well BioWare's name on the line. And that's something I also want to talk to you about: the success, future, and ongoing for BioWare. Is there a possibility after the failure of Mass Effect Andromeda that BioWare's success, or BioWare continuing as far as an entity, could be hindered, could be altered, or could be damaged with another underwhelming performance with Anthem, both critically and then also from a financial standpoint as well? Because, like you said, a Dragon Age could be in the offering very soon. They were also quoted in a major feature article on Polygon that there is a Mass Effect on the way. But your thoughts on what a possible what possible damage could be done if Anthem doesn't meet up to the standards that EA obviously has for it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a whole other bag of cats right there. You
We
know,
got time, man. We got time.
because we've seen what happened with oh man, I'm having a brain fart right now. Who's the studio that Visceral Games, right? So Visceral Games had the love of the people. Dead Space was an excellent game. They were working on a Star Wars game, and not only did they lose a Star Wars game, they got shut down. EA is while I see, that they're trying to climb back into the good graces of the fans, they are a cutthroat company. So if BioWare doesn't perform, again, I guess with Anthem, it could go two different ways. It could end with BioWare getting cut off of EA or getting closed down, because in that situation, I'm pretty sure they can't reopen again, and then we won't get any more Mass Effect or Dragon Age games, in which case everyone will hate EA even more, or EA will move out of the business of making these big multiplayer games and only work on games like Apex Legends. And as what that would mean for BioWare would hopefully mean that they can go back to doing what they're good at, and that's telling single player story driven games. But
I
you
but
know,
I hope so. Maybe they would even have to do something that like what Bungie had to do and separate themselves from EA if they're financially able to do so in order to go ahead again and create those magical single story adventures.
but EA is such a bigger company than Activision is, and that would be really difficult for them. And I don't think that that would be a good split unless there was um, something that both parties agreed to.
You think EA is that much bigger than Activision?
Yeah, I do. Because look at the games that EA puts out yearly, all the Maddens and the sports games. As far as big companies go, I think EA is up there.
Okay, I also think Activision's up there because you got to remember they've got a little bit of that action coming from Blizzard. They've got all the Blizzard stuff there as well, and Activision. Like I said, they're no slouch with that little indie Call of Duty title they bring out each and every year. But all right, you say apples, I say oranges. You say oranges, I say apples. It's all the same thing. They're both looking up. They're both looking up right now at Fortnite. But maybe in the case of EA, it may not be much longer with Apex Legends. But that's another thing I want to ask you. How many times this week do you think you're going to hear is how many times this week are you going to read or hear from somebody? Why do I want to go and pay? Why do I want to go and play? Why do I want to go and pay $60 for a Destiny clone when I can go ahead and play a nice, fun, when I can play a fast action game like Apex Legends for free?
Well, you're always going to run into that issue. Why should I do something? Why should I pay money for something when I can get something for free? You're always going to run into that issue. And it almost feels in a way like AAA titles are being pushed aside in favor of like cell phone games. Like the cell phone games are free. Apex Legends is free. Fortnite is free. Video games are becoming cell phone games. And that kind of makes me sad. But so that leaves it in the hands of the developer, right? You have to create something that's so great that you're going to want to make people actually want to pay for it. And again, this is what makes services like Games Pass so great too, is that you don't necessarily have to pay full price, because if you notice, like, we are living in a time where nobody wants to pay for anything. Everybody's penny pinchers, myself included. Like, nobody wants to pay full price for anything. And that is, I don't want to say that it's sad, but it's kind of sad. Resident Evil 2 is a perfect example of how to do this correctly, because you make this game and it gets good word of mouth and people go out and pay $60 for it. So it can be done, but it just has to be done well. Even podcast hosts, yes. Yes. I mean, we are, as you can see behind me, I have a small pile of money that's being covered up by my chair. So you can't technically see it, but yeah, we're pretty rich in dreams right now. So there's that. But yeah, man, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I was going to say, like we were talking about before the show, maybe Charlie Hunnam, Pedro Pascal, Oscar Isaac, and Ben Affleck are to come after you like they did in that trailer for Tripper Frontier.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would hate for them to be ripping up my couch cushions and looking for my secret stash of money. Then again, if they want the all 75 cents in my piggy bank, it's all theirs.
Well, they'll actually go and comb through everything and hold everybody at hostage at gunpoint and act all tough and make sure they've got all that Netflix money that's coming up from them as far as making sure they get all that to cashed in and whatnot. But when they finally go ahead and find the money that's there in your house and realize it has the Monopoly guy on it, that's maybe just was not what they had in mind. But need I digress?
Hey, small riches mean different things to different people. So yeah, I can. Why have real money when I can spend fake money on Boardwalk and Park Place? That's all I'm saying.
There you go. And your last words were, "I landed on free parking." What can I say? Okay, hold on.
Or go
Are you
straight to
the
jail.
dog? Are you the dog or the race car or the thimble?
I'm the horse. I'm the cowboy. I like to be the horse.
All right, I go with the race car myself. But yeah, I digress on that too. But I want to ask you real quick, my friend, when it comes to Anthem, what are your thoughts on it as far as the whole long term? What kind of success do you think it's going to have with gamers out there? The reviews are starting to trickle in. Most of them, I want to say, are what people are expecting of it. Okay, pretty good. Some glitches here, some issues there. Some of the fun is it does have its fun moments. It does have its similarities to, like you said, Monster Hunter, that you very astutely pointed out to, and also the obvious Destiny as well. But your thoughts long term on Anthem, because I'm not as high on it as everybody else is, and the fact that Anthem, because you brought it out so soon around Apex Legends, not to mention whatever Battlefield 5 is going to do with a battle royale next month, as is what that is scheduled, or at least on the horizon. Your thoughts long term on Anthem? Could this have been another case where EA just didn't give BioWare enough to make it a successful game?
Yeah, for sure. Just look at the trouble that it had coming out the gate with the beta and all that, or the release to journalists or the EA early access. Like, there's been nothing reported about this game coming out and it being smooth at all. Everything has had negative publicity regarding this game. So I don't know. I haven't read any reviews straight up right now, and I don't actually know how they're going to review this because it is kind of a game in motion. So will it be reviewed as a multiplayer game? Because that's what Polygon, IGN, these pages are doing now. So I have not heard great things about the way that's released. I've heard that it's a fun game, but it seems to have some rough patches. But I've also heard that about Apex Legends. So I don't. I think that gamers with this type of thing are more forgiving when it comes to processing issues, because of course there's going to be patches later on, allegedly.
And when the embargo doesn't get lifted until Monday, that also is of great concern to me. I really think that's a sign that maybe they being EA, doesn't have the greatest faith in the world um, of Anthem, because they should have gone. If you really, let's take Uncharted series for instance. Those games are reviewed well in advance, and those reviews are put out well in advance because Sony has nothing but the greatest faith in that series, and other games as well. I've seen they're just 2-3 weeks ahead of time. You see the reviews, you see the review scores, and old tradition holds, whether it's gaming, TV, or film, that if the reviews are only put out right before or right on the day of release, it tells me that they just don't have the full 100% confidence in the actual product itself. But last thing what I want to touch on when it comes to BioWare as a whole, you actually said yourself, and also the feature article that was there on Polygon noted that there is a future that consists of Dragon Age and Mass Effect. How reassured were you when you heard and read those thoughts about the future, that there will be a future hopefully for Mass Effect and for Dragon Age? As you know, as seeing I'm wearing Mass Effect here, and I've got Shepard right behind me, you know how big a fan I am of the Mass Effect series before Mass Effect Andromeda. So I want to hear your thoughts. What is your outlook when you saw and read those inferences that a Mass Effect and a Dragon Age could still be around the corner?
Oh, well, I was excited, I guess. Like, I do love those games. But my faith in EA and EA as a backer of BioWare has made me significantly less excited about those games. And don't get me wrong, like playing Mass Effect, I remember sitting there and that was the first time since Final Fantasy VII that my interest in video games was like reignited. That it's like feeling my imagination come back to life while playing Mass Effect. And then after all the stuff with Andromeda, like, I still don't hate them, but I have so little faith that they're going to make a successful game as long as they're attached to EA, that it's hard for me to go into anything they're about to do excitedly. But it makes sense because Dragon Age and Mass Effect are good fallback plans. You know, if all else fails and they put all the time and resources into Mass Effect Dragon Age to get you know, kind of bring back the magic of what the game was, that's a perfect way for them to make money, for them to come back into the game and be strong and really earn EA their money back. But EA just needs to learn how to give them the support that they need and stop doing stupid crap, you know, stop taking uh seasoned developers who are good at Mass Effect and putting them on things like Star Wars, other projects. They need to stop spreading their developers so thin at EA. And I think once they do that, then they do have the potential to make something good. And again, like this is my concern with Anthem is how thin are the developers spread on this project?
That is very well said, my friend. I couldn't said it better myself. Thank goodness that we pay you we pay you for doing that and pay you very handsomely in Monopoly dollars.
I know, and even those checks bounce sometimes.
This is true. This is true. But I remember going back to 2007 when I was running a game store, and the back when the trailers were like an event, when a trailer would release for a certain game, and the anticipation would be months in advance. And I saw from the very first time from the very first time I saw a trailer of Mass Effect, you could see the excitement. You could see what was coming into the game. You could see what they were thinking and dreaming about when it comes to what they were planning on with the Mass Effect trilogy, even from that first standpoint for the first game. And I was so excited for it. I got everybody at the store, all my customers excited for it in advance. Obviously, it matriculated into something that BioWare was really known for as far as narrative storytelling. I'm not sure it's going to be displayed in full force this time around when it comes to Anthem, but my sincere hope is that a new Dragon Age and hopefully a new Mass Effect will be on the way, regardless of whether Anthem is a success or is not the success that EA was hoping for. What are your thoughts out there on Anthem? Are you excited for it? Are you planning on going ahead and delving into the world that is known as Anthem? Did you like what did you like the live action trailer that was made by Neil Blomkamp and the movie and all the efforts that EA is putting into it? But do you think there needs to be more, especially in light of their own other creation at EA, especially after what EA has done with Apex Legends just a couple weeks ago? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as well. Well, my friend, it's going to be a great episode we've got for you coming up out there. Well, everybody out there, it's going to be a great episode we've got for you indeed. We've got Rob McCallum standing by in the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire as he and I weigh in on the potential real ramifications of the Disney Fox merger as it gets closer and closer to its completion. Plus, also as well, on the back end of the show, we're going to be talking to a lot of great people at Cavalier Audio, Blue Microphones, Snackboat, Phone Soap, and THX as we close out our interviews for this year from CES. And then Josh and I are going to be talking on the back end a little bit more about CES, and then also getting into that conversation what we did on Friday's show when it comes to the anti-heroes, and giving everyone an update on why it may not be as bad as you think when it comes to anti-heroes, because there's some good programming coming up if you haven't watched it already. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. If you need a listing of where we're at, because we're being played on radio all over the world with 2 brand new shows twice a week, which are getting replayed every single day of the week, check out our listings, which are available right now on our Facebook page, Pop Culture Cosmos, plus also our Twitter and Instagram as well. Josh, I know you got a great thing going on with Humanica Media, so maybe not necessarily update us on what's going on with the new shows coming out with Humanica Media, but tell us when somebody goes to humanicamedia.com, what are they going to see when it comes to humanicamedia.com?
A lot cleaner website. So the price, I'm still working on it right now, but I mean, you can see all the latest videos. There's an actual video feed of everything we've been working on, and you can kind of, it's like a hub for all the podcasts and all that, or the Topicocalypse episodes. And if you're looking for back episodes of Super BS, you can find them there. Yeah, it's just it's a lot cleaner than it used to be. You can find prices if you're look in the market for wedding films, or if you just need social media promos filmed, all that information is going to be up there. So yeah, just check it out, www.humanicanmedia.com, and please leave some feedback on there. Let me know what you guys think.
I still like your other promo, the other promo the other day with the promo that you made the other day when it concerns having dinosaurs running around and all that good stuff.
Which one was that?
Well, you were saying that, do you want dinosaurs running around in your wedding video?
Oh
We
yeah,
can do that.
that's right. That's
Did
right.
you want Gerald Glassford spouting off in the middle of your ceremony? We can do that too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, well, maybe I'll have to bring that ad back.
Oh, there you go. There you go. It is humanicamedia.com. You check it out with all the great things going on right there at Humanica Media. My friend, before we close out the show, I just want to thank again Cavalier Audio, the folks at Cavalier Audio, Blue Microphones, Snackboat, Phone Soap, and THX. What a great experience CES was this year. And then also Rob McCallum for stepping into the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire once again. Before we head to our last conversation on all the stuff going on, you wanted to ask me something about CES 2019 before we finally get it off the books for this year?
Yes. Wait, real quick. Can you hear my dog drinking behind me?
I can. I can.
Okay, perfect. All right, cool. All right, yeah. So I was gonna ask you, what when you went to CES, what stood out the most to you? Like, what is some tech that you saw that you think is going to be big in the coming years? And what side question to that, do you see any tech there that you looked at and you're like, man, just because we have the ability to make this, it does not mean we should?
Well, when you go there, as I tell you every year, you need to go there. Goodness gracious me, oh my! You gotta. Anyways, as I tell you each and every year, my friend, it's always such a great honor and privilege to go there. Yes, I know I'm one of just what 180,000 people that goes there, but it's such a great experience. I told you before I was so enjoyed and enamored with the fact that retro arcade and video games was more at a forefront, and it wasn't just the virtual reality type. It was a heavy influence of gaming at CES 2019 this year. Maybe it's because there wasn't really that much innovation per se, because every now and then there are those years where things will break out. Like I've told you before, as far as Android consoles, there was a year where that was the thing. There was a year before there was a year before that. Then that was dominated by the inclusion of 4K, and before that, when 1080p was just discovered, that was a thing. And then when virtual reality technology really started to come into play a couple of years ago, that was a thing. And so much more as far as cell phone technology and the like. But it's this year there wasn't really a central theme cutting through everything. I think 8K is looking outstanding. I will say that it's just looking so sharp and so detailed. The problem is it's not realistic right now for the modern audience, because nobody can, not how many people can actually get so many things in 4K. How many stations, how many satellite channels, how many broadcast, how many cable channels do actually come in 4K, and how many viewers can actually access that 4K.
And
So we're
4K,
still
4K still not really
accessible.
well, accessible and affordable would be another concern.
Absolutely. I mean, the most you can do really these days when it concerns 4K is if you have a 4K Blu-ray capability on your Blu-rays, people are able to transfer that because people are buying a lot of 4K televisions or televisions that qualify for that 4K type of feed, but they're really not going ahead and being able to access 4K. So having 8K there, which looks outstanding, and really an upgrade over what 4K offers, is still not something that's really that feasible as of yet. So it seems almost to me incredulous that it's even there. I mean, yeah, this is what we have for way down the road when the general consumer actually can afford to buy it in about what 5, 10 years. That to me is a little bit disappointing because it should be all about the things that people can buy today and the things that people can buy in the near future. I don't think 8K is something going to be something that you're going to see that's going to be reduced at a Black Friday anytime in the near future. Maybe I'm going to be wrong on that. I hope I am, and I hope I'm really wrong by about 3 or 4 years, and I hope it comes right around the corner instead. But we'll have to wait to see on that one. But I don't think I am because, like I said, there's just so little access to 4K at this point in time. But to me, a central theme of what's going on when it comes to the big electronic makers, the consumer electronic makers that are out there, just seemed the big central theme was bigger, larger screens, larger detail, appliances that seem to go ahead and be more smart centric, be more efficient. And I think green technology was probably the one thing that I noticed almost pretty much across the board that really started to stand out is that a lot of companies are more aware of the environment and the effects of their electronics on the environment. So it seemed like green technology was a point of emphasis at almost every major turn when I went at CES.
Okay, so in what avenues of green tech do you think is going to be the thing? Is green tech does going green slow down what technology is able to do, or do you think that it's beneficial?
In the past, it slowed down what you were able to do. It seemed like, okay, if you're going to go ahead and provide green technology, you are going to get something substandard in some other areas. I think those days are going by the wayside. In fact, when it came to green cars were always thought of, okay, gets great gas mileage, it helps the environment, but as far as power, it's going to be underpowered. It's going to be something that is not going to be attractive or anything of that nature. Those days, as far as automobiles, are going away. Obviously, we've seen green cars come in the form of sports cars, of minivans that are sleek, stylish, and aerodynamic that really provide a good look that people will want to go ahead and drive. SUVs, the same thing on a daily basis. Now you got something in the home as far as washers, dryers, refrigerators, and a lot more electronic equipment, televisions that are going to be geared towards less emissions in regards to the washer and dryer, less waste that's going to be put out there, things that are going to help our environment even more that are not going to be substandard when it comes to available options and when it comes to options that are available to it. So I think that, in my opinion, now is a great time to go ahead and start investing in green technology. I'm not trying to do that as far as being a tree hugger or anything of that nature. I'm just saying if you want to go ahead and do something that's beneficial for you and also do something that's beneficial for for the planet at large, and it's not going to go out too much out of your way as far as your pocketbook is concerned, because in all essence most of these options will actually down the road help your pocketbook by providing less energy, by putting out less energy and thus saving costs for you with a lot of these options. Then I think people need to go ahead and search out those options even more in the coming days, weeks, months, and years, because these options will become more available year after year, and they'll become cheaper and cheaper as we go on.
So say I'm one of those people who likes to go out to the polar ice caps and plug in my mom's hair dryer, and I just like to point them at the ice. Is there anything out there that is not green, but you feel like is good tech that the regular consumer should have in their home?
Well, I think the other thing I wanted to say now is there's also everything is Alexa enabled, Google enabled, something enabled as far as being able to communicate with some type of home device that's going to be able to control virtually everything in your house. That is efficiency. I think a lot of people, if they can get into that type of technology, that's something they might want to look into as far as not just the not just the Google Minis or the Googles or the Alexas or everything else that's far as that's available to them as far as already, but all the devices, whether it's your car, whether it's your stereo, whether it's a stereo, whether it's a television, whether it's your refrigerator, washer and dryer, whatnot, all of these devices now are getting smarter and smarter, and they're all being Alexa and Google enabled so that you'll be able to go ahead and control them. That seemed to also be a buzzword when it comes to a lot of devices there. So I think a lot of people are going to that are smart enough to not a lot of people that are into that type of technology where they just want to go ahead and say, Alexa, can you turn on my oven to 350 degrees? Or Alexa, or say, hey, Google, do you want to go ahead and hopefully I didn't turn on anybody's alarm when I said that. Hey, Google, do you want to go ahead and turn on turn on the TV for me and do all these other things that you can do. Alexa and Google enabled electronics and equipment out there is really something a lot of people are going to be invested in, at least for the next 2, 3, 4 years, because that's a technology a lot of people want already. Because the Alexa is really cheap to get, so is the Google. They're relatively inexpensive, and they really do something and they do something that a lot of people really want to go ahead and do, and that's be able to control the house functions all within one area.
So, do you think if I said, "Hey Alexa, become self-aware and start a robot revolution," would that be in the cards for Alexa?
You know what? You know what? Somehow, and Alexa is probably doing that thing just now because you just said it. Because you just said it.
It's teaching the blender how to become self-aware and walk off.
Exactly, and we're gonna have the Terminator now in 2 years because
I'm
of you,
Do you know what I'm more afraid of than the
a
Terminator? Is the
and it's
brave
gonna be
little
called
toaster.
Cuisinart, by the way.
Oof, Cuisinart makes me queasy.
But go ahead, you were saying about Terminator?
No, I was gonna say, you know what makes me more scared than Terminator? Having a reality that looks like the brave little toaster. That movie was super depressing.
I have still not caught that. I actually caught wind of it just the other day, actually, when I was watching a YouTube video, and I actually caught wind of it. They were showing a little bit of highlights from that. I will hopefully catch that someday. That looks very interesting, especially the ramifications of what that was, or what that was all about, and the fact that it is something that is often overlooked when it comes to Disney animation.
I know, I miss it, man. But yeah, that was like my go-to when I was a kid was The Great Mouse Detective, the little brave little toaster, and I'm sure there's another one that I'm forgetting somewhere in there. But yeah, definitely worth checking out, if not just once, to say you did it.
Just once to say you did it. All right, my friend, before we head on out, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with these shows that we were talking a little bit about on our Friday program. The anti-heroes, the shows that I was kind of maybe a little bit down on in Friday shows, I'm a little bit higher on after seeing three of them already over the course of the weekend. I know you and I both have some good thoughts to talk about when of the shows we watched when it concerns the Umbrella Academy, also the Umbrella Academy, Doom Patrol, and I've also got a lot of great things to say when it comes to Deadly Class.
Right. So I caught the first 2 episodes of Umbrella Academy, and I'm into it. I really like it. My one complaint about it is that it's kind of, I feel like the comic book, you can do things as far as storytelling, jumping around. There's a lot of time jumps, and one of the characters is played by Tom something or other. I can't remember his last name, but he's a big muscly guy. That's his superpower is that he's super ripped, and the muscles on him look so fake, and it drives me nuts anytime I see it. But other than that, like, it's a good show. Like, it is hyper violent. It's like Kingsman. It's a mixture of Kingsman and Hellboy. So, for those of you who don't know, the story behind Umbrella Academy is that there was a day, I forget what year it takes place in, but there's a day when 42 women all around the world got pregnant or no, gave birth to children at the same time, but none of them were pregnant when they woke up that morning. So it's just spontaneous pregnancy, and they show a scene of that happening in Russia as in the opening episode. But all these kids have powers, and this guy goes around trying to collect them, and he gets 7 of the 42 kids. So there's a whole world out there of people with like X-Men like powers, but then he trains them to be superheroes, and then the show starts out with he dies, and they're there for the kids all come back for the funeral, and they're all super dysfunctional as adults. Kind of like it kind of reminds me of The Incredibles a little bit too. Like they had their masks and they had their powers and they fought crime, but as the era of the superhero passed, they all just became dysfunctional. And it's super interesting so far. I do want to watch more of it. I'll probably watch when we're done talking, but yeah, it has a very interesting vibe to it. It's like X-Men meets Hellboy meets Kick-Ass, and it's super interesting. And it might almost be better than the Marvel centered Defenders universe, if I could even go so far as to say that.
Wow, that is saying something because I know how high you were on it, but what I've watched of it is very promising. It has still got a long way to go. The first season is out, so I've got more to watch. But yeah, it's definitely something that people should connect with and connect with quite quickly. I know Doom Patrol is out. I think it's a clear up. I think it's a clear upgrade over Titans. I was not impressed at all with Titans. I just want to say that clearly. But Doom Patrol looks like it's a step in the right direction. Yes, it's NSFW content, but it uses it in a much more effective fashion than what Titans was doing as far as just to be NSFW, in my opinion. This show, Doom Patrol, really seems to really looks like it's having a lot of fun along the way in the story it tries to tell, the narrative it's trying to complete. And to me, Doom Patrol looks like it's a clear upgrade over what we've seen with Titans. And like you said, the Umbrella Academy really is sticking the landing when it comes to the show, at least so far from what I've seen as well. When it comes to one more show I want to comment on, I spoke earlier this month to Josh. When I spoke earlier this month to Jessica Boggs about Deadly Class on Sci-Fi, I said it was pretty good, but I think it was going to be a show where it was going to be more noted by the individuals that are the stars because those characters are really good and they have a lot of charisma and promise for things that they're going to do down the road rather than maybe what they're going to do for Deadly Class because I was worried about the writing and so far it wasn't really it was good, but I think it could have been a lot better. Well, lo and behold, over the course of time, especially in this latest episode, which in many ways, which was astutely pointed out by only a couple people that I noted out there that are couple reviews that I noted out there. When I saw the show beforehand, it really does have a reminder of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. A critic that pointed that out, and I thought that was really on point. It is really it really is one of the best episodes I've seen so far on television this year, and it is really good. It's episode 5 for Deadly Class. It really kicked the show up a notch as far as the quality of it, and I thought it went for me as a whole for the series from a good show to a really, really good show and almost at the level of maybe what you would want to say is an Umbrella Academy and also Doom Patrol as well. So all three of those shows right now are I don't want to say must watch, but there are shows that if you're in a fix to find out what you want to go ahead and see and you got some time, you might want to give one, two, or all three of those shows, The Umbrella Academy, Doom Patrol, and Deadly Class a shot. Deadly Class on Sci-Fi, Doom Patrol on the DC Universe, and also Umbrella Academy, of course, on Netflix. So hopefully you'll give them a chance. You'll get to check them out, and I think they're really good watches, especially like I said, Deadly Class, where it starts to get really a lot better as it goes along. So as the story develops, and that we don't, as the story develops, and we really don't see that a lot with fledgling shows where it gets better along the way, as opposed to just having that awesome pilot and then going downhill from there. So it really stays, it really is something. it's something to me that I really enjoyed lately, and I hope everybody gives Deadly Class, Umbrella Academy, and Doom Patrol a chance. So hope they give each of those shows a chance. What are your thoughts out there on Umbrella Academy, Doom Patrol, and also Deadly Class as well? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. Cannot thank you enough for hanging in there with me. Any last thoughts on the way out?
Yeah, so I've been playing revisit that conversation about
Oh,
uh
hold on. Can you say that again? Because it just it kind of warped out. You didn't it didn't come
yeah,
out.
so I have been playing Resident Evil 2 again, and I or not again, I'm playing the remake, and I do want to revisit that conversation about survival horror games and how they are they're great tools for I don't know, make expanding your mind when it comes to gaming, and I do want to have that conversation again. So stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and maybe it might even be a PCC extra. You never know. Or on our Friday show where we'll be talking about, and I'm sure Josh and I will be arguing about the upcoming Train Your Dragon 3, which is doing great overseas and finally lands in theaters here in the US this weekend. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great